In this video I have a Pi receiver, Diotran, stereo receiver AR2500. Forgot I even had this, found it under a shelf in the garage, so might as well have a look and see what the story is with it. I would have just bought this to use as a display piece on my stack of tuners. I think I saw, what's that, something about it. Maybe it still had a sticker on it at the time about one channel not working or something, but maybe I removed that label. Oh yeah, it looks like I probably did. Because often that's half the hassle, is getting rid of the labels off them. Got a super short little mains cord here. Got some sort of connection for cassette player or something that's hardwired. Considering it comes out next to the DIN/tape record playback, I'm guessing it's that. The phono input, auxiliary input, aerial connections, probably made in Korea or somewhere, is it? That's made in Japan for Pi Consumer Products, a division of Pi Industries Sales Proprietary Limited, and something's floating around in there. Well, it was. Sounded like something was anyway. And it's got a voltage selector, better make sure, with a fuse in it. We're on 240 volts, so it's Japanese, so that's a good sign. It might actually be a reasonable unit, even though it's a Pi branded one. So you shouldn't always judge a book by its cover. I think I'll just remove the cover just to see what it's like inside before I apply power. Usually the safest thing to do, because you don't know what someone's done to these things potentially. But yeah, I'm not sure. This is probably around the 70s or early 80s, this thing. Certainly the silver era. It comes off. Ooh, SDK chips. That's not a good sign in a way. Early ones. Quite a bit of dirt and stuff in there. Oh yeah, the dual fuse holders made for 3AG and M205 type fuses. That was the first thing that caught my eye. They're a bit bent, but I don't think anyone's necessarily been at those. They're probably your speaker outputs, or maybe it's the voltage into the two STK 078s. Some old blue Matsushita looking caps, and they are Matsushita. They've got the little triangle symbol on them. And what is down there? That's just a bit of organic matter, I think. Interesting, yeah, it looks like a Matsushita style potentiometer. I wonder if it's got anything to do with them, but I doubt they would have made one for Pi, but yeah, it doesn't really look like their equipment. We've got a Sanyo LA1240 tuner IC. It looks like another Sanyo LA1230, so probably more likely a Sanyo at this stage, and another Sanyo LA 3350, I think. Yeah, 3350. That can sometimes give you an idea. Sanyo certainly didn't mind their SDK chips. Got a nice fanned out sort of heat sinks there, so they're quite good. Got an ST102 transformer. Yeah, you wouldn't know what this was, but it could well be something that Sanyo would have made, but it's very hard to tell. Okay, we've got power on. Okay, something's happening. We've got lights. Oh, okay, that's power off, is it? Got power / speaker. There's that noise again. Oh yeah, there's something running around in there. I think we've got a spare screw or something. Where is it? It's down there. Oh, it's a nut. Don't know where that came off, but one of those nuts with a washer kind of thing attached. Does it look like... oh, that's right, I noticed a couple of feet were missing. Although where were the back ones? So it could have been something like that, or maybe it's got a big ceramic cap under the amp chip there for some reason. Okay, let's fire this thing up again. So we've got lights, signal meters going flat out, that's not always a good sign. AM, FM, well, it turns off a microphone, but yeah, I don't think that should go hard. Yeah, it just slaps up there. You can hear it crash, so there's something not happy there. Doesn't seem to affect the meter. Turn the volume down a bit. And we've got a free spider in the display there. Dead, I think. And just be careful of things like that voltage selector switch, because even those terminals that aren't connected to anything may well be live. So they can be quite dangerous, these things to work on. Let's go to volts DC and see if we've got anything on the speaker terminals. Nothing there, although I don't know what speakers are turned on or off. Doesn't like holding the probes in there. Slight mount there, but nothing to worry about. Ooh, we've got a living spider on the back here as well. Another little tiny one. Get off there. Where'd he go? Dunno. Into the carpet somewhere. That's probably one that's made a home in it since it's been here, because it has been sitting in the garage for a while. So yeah, just be careful where you put your fingers on these things if the power's on. So all seems to be right. I think that's A plus B, that must be A, B, yeah, off. Probably A speaker, B speaker, A plus B. But the screen printing is worn off. Well, I think I'm going to hook that up and see what it does, if anything. Got a bit of crackle out of it, so that one's got a bit of voltage. Didn't really hear anything on that one. Oh, sounds like something's happening. I can hear a bit of hum and stuff. Crackles. Oh, there's the AM radio. Yeah. Picks up rather well.
23 to 22. 20. His first game of the season. It's into the centre square. No mark taken.
Let's give this volume control a clean if I can get to it. I think, oh yeah, we can get in through the top. Because that's going to be annoying otherwise. Let's just turn it off and give that a good wind. This thing needs a massive clean.
Composes himself, kicks over the soft and cold. Is able to come across and knock it out of bounds again. They're just so organised down back.
That one might be a bit beyond it, but we'll have to give it a better clean. That's going right through it, so it should have cleaned it.
Inside the foot, the chip that split.
Sounds like an indented one. It's got that noise it makes.
Field final.
That's not coming up too bad.
Left forward pocket for West. Reads out after it's stolen. Field his hand pass almost affected by Petrocelli. Spilled out the back though to Ida for the Giants. Coming on defensive 50. Bedford moves it on. O'Halloran to Green. Lovely hand pass over the top of the runner.
Balance controls coming loose. Can feel that slipping as I turn it. Yeah, that's quite a good AM radio in this thing.
Again, tap to his own advantage.
So we've got stereo muting, and that unmutes, but no FM stereo light, but I'm guessing it might be, yes, an incandescent globe, I think. How crazy is that? In fact, have all the lights gone out? I had lights before. Yeah, they've all died, I think. Yeah, we did have some lights. Tuning indicator seems to work, and there's even a bit of movement from the level meter, which is kind of going to flat out. But yeah, where did my light bulbs go? Have they all died, or is there some other issue here? They go to that connector there. Probably AC voltage. There's our orange wires there, between there and there. Yeah, there's not much voltage AC if that's meant to run the lights. Oh, what is coming up here? Not much there. Oh, is it the function thing? Oh. What the? I say, it looks like I got a switch. When I go to FM, we seem to lose that light. What do we got? Dial lights. At least a couple of them. Go to FM and it disappears. What on earth? Is that a bad switch? I mean, fair enough, the radio shouldn't light up when you're in an auxiliary phono, I guess. A little bit of signal meter still going. But in FM? I wonder if we've got a dicky mode switch or something here. Seems to switch everything else fine. Very weird. Oh, well, at least that solves my question on that little thing. So that's an interesting design. Goes to show you never should trust anything of these things. A lot of them just light up all the time. This one doesn't. It's got a mega big long multi-contact switch here. It's probably, God, I'd hate to think how many contacts are in that, but I might just give it a clean through these holes on the top just to see if it makes any difference. Probably won't, but always worth a try with these things. And that one's, oh, the whole knob's coming off of that one. I thought the aluminium was loose. And it's got a separate input for mic. Well, it turns the lights off in FM. Still no FM stereo light. And the signal meter's still on flat out, so it definitely wasn't that. Well, these old LA chips always got very tarnished looking pins. That probably doesn't help. A lot of dust and stuff in the radio section, but generally this thing seems to work. I had a feeling it said it had one channel missing. Balance needs a clean. Can I get to it? It's right down. Not easily. Not at all easily. Oh, well, there's a hole. I can get onto it. I think I'll mostly just clean the front panel, but we'll try it. Yeah, it's starting to come better, I think. So I wonder if it's like that other tuner where we had to just tweak a pot somewhere to get the stereo lamp back up. Oh no, why not? There's two light globes here. Let's see what actually works on this thing, because one's green. That must just be the AM. Yeah, so we've got a clear light as in just raw lamp. That one seems to flicker quite a bit and look dimmer than this one. But then there's a second It's a second globe there, I think, in black. Ah, that's your FM. I wonder if the FM's got a different colour. These black wires, ones with the orange wires are lighting. What's the bet that in FM mode we're meant to have a different colour? That's the greeny. Well, I've got 2.6 volts AC, so maybe it's not AC at all. 8.5 volts DC. That's on our current lights that are lit up. Let's go to FM, because someone obviously listened to FM more than I am, is my guess. And 14 volts on the black wires, which means it's getting voltage and it's high because the other lamps are kaput, and they've got the little green, or at least the one I can see has a little green thing over it. I think the FM stereo light is actually an LED. It's something on a little circuit board, so it probably is an LED. And I better watch these RCAs don't fall in there. So okay, that explains why the FM doesn't light up. So something's still affecting this meter, and I don't think the meter lights are working either, were they? No. We've got two light globes that backlight the meters. And they do not want to come out. Oh, they're green as well, or should be. I don't know if I can get down there and check the voltage. They're probably more likely on AC. Nah, not easily. So we need at least 4 light globes in this thing. And I am tempted to tweak a couple of those pots on the FM and maybe give them a quick bit of cleaner as well, and see if that does anything regarding the FM stereo light. Well, where is it, and where is that LED? It has a blue and purple wire. Oh, it goes to a switch here. One of them goes right over there somewhere. So that goes through that switch, which is the, I guess the muting on off switch, which makes perfect sense. Try a different channel, I guess. The fact it's unmuting should mean it's stereo. So it's weird if it's getting a muting signal but no light. But it may not be mean it's stereo. Yeah, the sound doesn't change. Yeah, there's no audible difference. So I think it's not actually decoding stereo at all. So the muting must just be going on signal strength more than anything. I could try giving those pots a slight tweak after making a note of where they are actually sitting.
This is Slam.
Oh, it's back. I had it in the wrong mode when I tweaked it, but oh, no, it's died. Did I just do something? Oh, it came back for a second. No! How silly, I had it in the wrong mode. Well, I tweaked everything. I just saw the stereo light and heard it in stereo. Damn it. At least I can see from the dirt where these things have been sitting. Either something's warmed up, or me tweaking those pots and with a bit of cleaner on there, even though I put them back to the same spot, it's decided to work. Could be these old caps warming up, who knows. But yeah, we've got a solid FM light now. You can definitely hear it get a little noisier on the weaker signal there, and the stereo separation increase. Okay, just pulled the bottom off to have a look, and there's some major dry joints in the power supply, and I think a couple of those go to those lamps on the meters, so they may be dry jointed, probably not, but worth a quick look, because I think these two pins here are the lamps. No, 12 volts there, so even though that resistor's, to be fair, I think it's still connected, but God, they're dry joints, those ones. And I think that's that regulated transistor on the other side. Those joints really bad. And we've got BP-677 in brackets A on the board. BP676 brackets A. And beside the odd thing it says B plus input right and left, B minus. Nothing. Oh my god, is that the transformer connections? They're pretty dry as well. They got their wire wound. Yeah, it's a transformer plug, or socket as it is actually soldered to the board. That long strip along there, they're pretty dry. Amp section actually looks quite good. So it looks like they're 12 volt. Well, are they 12 volt lamps, or do they drop down because they're going through a resistor? But look at it, is that a resistor? It's bound to be, isn't it? Yep. Looks a bit like a fusible type wire wound resistor. So I think I'll give this thing a good clean out. And I did get some 8 volt lamps around that size, I think, and I'll resolder the dry joints. But it looks like it's mostly working. All the front needs a good clean. But I think this lid up will look alright. And that's all the contacts on that function switch there. It's got quite a few running through there. I think we've got a couple of little preamp ICs probably for the tone and maybe the tape section or something. Could even be a phono preamp. And yeah, those wires hanging out the back are soldered, yeah, definitely to the DIN connector. No surprises there. But anyway, I'll tidy a few things up on this and have a look and see what it comes up like. I think I'm going to have to take the front off to get that dead spider out and give everything a clean. Still got the problem with that signal meter too. Might even have a look, see if I can find a circuit for this thing anywhere. Because I'll be interested to know where that meter circuit comes from. Though we can probably... Can we find the wiring? Yeah, the wiring comes across. Black and white wire. One goes to the... No, it doesn't go to the chassis. I thought it did. So black and white wire. One goes to the function switch and one comes over to this number 32 labelled E. So it's possible something in this area is not right. I probably should check a few of these caps in case they're going, and might have some dead caps in the area or something. Yeah, the white one seems to go to the switch. Not surprisingly, assuming I'm following the right wire there, which I think I am. Yeah, it's definitely it. And it is the right meter, isn't it? Yeah, signal there. So that's just getting hit by DC, I think. Or something like that, like a higher voltage than it should. I would like to fix it, but if worse comes to worse, could just disconnect it or something and just get it lit up again would be enough. Okay, I'm working on the front panel and I just found out these clips are very fragile, so you've got to be a bit careful taking these buttons out. And they've got to go in fairly straight as well, but they should just sort of just take a little bit of pressure off and push them back home. And it's rather a tight fit. Oh no, I broke another one. And I found that, yeah, just slightly spreading them apart and pushing up from below is the easiest way to get them off. But they are very fiddly to get back in. And these plastic clips, of course, very brittle. But won't really matter in this case anyway, but always an iron when something breaks. But this should get this front panel looking at it a million times better. I've already cleaned the outside of it and the radio dial. But yeah, these are really fiddly tight fit to get back in. You just got to carefully prise these bits apart while pushing down. Of course, the amount of pressure you've got to put, that's one side, but see, one side goes in, the other side won't. So it's a real pain to get back in there. And then it just, yeah, tends to suddenly go, and that's when you break something. Real fiddly. I mean, they certainly made them nice and precision in a way. There's no play in them, but it makes it very hard to get it back together. Once one's clipped on, the other one will not go in. It's got it, yeah, very fiddly, but they've got to be cleaned because they are disgusting all down the sides of them. At least the paint's still good on them. Close to mint condition really once you clean them up. But yeah, just one of the wonderful fiddly jobs. That one went in quite well. Don't know what the ones are like that are a bit loose. I think they'll be alright. And I'll give that a final little polish off to get rid of any residue on the perspex. Someone scratched their license number into it as part of Neighbourhood Watch to make it easier to recover stolen goods, which I didn't even notice before, so that takes away from it a little bit, but not the end of the world. Front's got a few scratches and stuff, still a few fingerprints on there I think from me doing those buttons. It's not going to be mint, but I think it'll look okay. And also got all these disgusting knobs to do. And I probably shouldn't have left the front panel there because that's going to get spray from cleaning these. But this will probably look surprisingly good when it's clean. Quite nice, the old aluminium, brushed aluminium look to it. Nice retro kind of finish. And you know, it's amazing, even these lower end sort of brands, you know, seem like high end equipment compared to some of the modern stuff. Yeah, absolutely filthy, very hard to get off. Might even have to get the toothbrush onto this. We've got a little slot around it. That's going to hold the dirt. Not that it matters 100%, but I like to really get these things back to original. But yeah, there's real hand grease or something all over this. And try and avoid any harsh mechanical rubbing of this sort of surface if possible. Even scourer and stuff will tend to mark these things. That's pretty good, but yeah, we've got this little slot that is dirty. But I'll go over and do all of it like that. Yeah, that definitely makes an appreciable difference, even though a lot of people probably wouldn't even notice it was there in the first place. So yeah, got the volume and all the other knobs to do, so we'll get them done. And this is what it looks like without the front on it. Looks like this pointer was actually, it's clear plastic and it was made to have a lamp fitted to it, though they never have on this one. And I've just cleaned up the meters and the dial. Got rid of the dust and dead spiders and stuff, so the pot's had quite a bit of dust on the shafts. So I'll put the front back on now that I've cleaned that up. And this thing should look a ton better than what it did. Only 4 screws holding the front on, but yeah, it looks like a different unit. I've dusted out the inside as best I could. Still a little bit of dust on the amp chips and stuff. So now I've got to get these light bulbs replaced. I guess we can put all these knobs back on too. Usually turn them to one end. Do they have a center ident? No. Or indent, I should probably say. It is handy for identifying the center. No, even the balance doesn't have anything. The fact it had some indents in the volume control made me think it might have something. Now what are we on here? Who knows? Phono now. A little bit too far that way. sometimes you can't get them perfect, but it's too far the phone away now, so one of those knobs was slipping on the plastic bit inside too, so that's fully that way. Speaker AB and power off, and the volume one has a little cutout in it. I think the tuning's just smooth all the way around. Yeah, looking good. And yeah, tuning doesn't matter where that goes. Bit of dust inside it, but oh well. So it looks a million times better than what it did. It's actually quite a nice looking unit at the moment. If I can get that to light up nicely, it'll be a very nice looking unit really for a Pi. Okay, I actually took one screw out of this plastic. It allows it to move a little bit to get to these globes, and use some needle nose pliers to lift them up and untangle the wires a bit. We'll get these little green covers off them, and they look like they're about a 4mm, maybe a 5mm, somewhere around there, the globes. And I'm still not sure if these ones are meant to be 12 volt. These seem to be 8 on the tuning dials, one at the other end as well. Oh, now little rubber bits burnt through, as was often the case with these things. So the end's actually burnt right off it and gone blackened and stuff, so I don't know if I can recycle that one. Yeah, it's just going to tear to pieces by the look of it. So it's welded to the globe basically. That's a real pain. Not sure if I can use one off one of these other meters. If I've got any spare ones anywhere. But that certainly makes life more difficult, because we want the colour to be even, so it's probably more important on the radio dial. Maybe I'll just put one of the meters without it, or maybe both. Would be kind of cool to have one green and one not green maybe. Okay, so I had these Wagner globes, NL 692-5-9, 9 being the voltage, 5 the diameter, and they got leads attached. So I've replaced one here, and we've got a nice little green glow coming out of there. And we'll just see what the voltage, if that should have dropped down on there, on this terminal block that feeds the lamp, from, I think it was up around 12, so down at 10, 9.9 volts. I hope it was actually in shot. Get on there. And that's with one lamp, so if we had the other one, hopefully that'll drop down a bit more, because it does have a resistor there. So we'll get this other one done at the other end here, and I'll have to join the wires on this. The other one I actually just end up pulling the old wires out, since it already had its own lead and the ends were stripped and tinned. This one I'll have to join somewhere around here and attach a new globe in the vicinity, and take this little rubber piece off and reuse that, because that holds it in place. Just a matter of threading the new cord or wires through that, which is not always the easiest thing to do when they've been stripped and tinned. There's one coming through. They always seem to dislike going through these little holes. Sometimes you end up having to cut the tin bit off, but I try and avoid that because it saves a bit of work, although in this case it might not be any use. I think these are slightly bigger than the originals, but our little green diffuser things go over it, no problem. A nice stretchy silicone rubber or something. And just a matter of poking that back in the hole, which is quite difficult to access at this end. And yeah, even unscrewing this plastic bit, you've still got a pulley here in the way that I don't really want to mess with the dial cord. And it's just a matter of getting some needle nose pliers in there, being careful with the dial cord that we don't flick that off anywhere. And I might have to come in from the other side maybe. Yeah, that's it. And got to press the rubber down to go into the hole, which it doesn't seem to want to do. There we are, I think. I'll be careful not to break the light globe with the pliers. That's it. And I'll wrap this around the other wire like the original one was. I might even just pull these new wires through. But then you've got the dial cord in the way. We don't want the soldering iron near that necessarily, so I think we'll do it out in the air here somewhere. Cut those leads off and re-strip and tin everything, and a bit of heat shrink tubing over that. Small stuff will fix that up. You could use insulation tape or something if you really wanted to, but I tend to avoid it. Doesn't really matter. I guess I'm just used to trying to do something a little bit more professional than the average home handyman, but it's perfectly viable if it's good tape that stays there. Most of it does just go, the cheap tape tends to go gooey more than anything, and you can't get it off when you want to, which is not a bad thing in this situation, as long as it doesn't fall off on its own. And just re-tin all those with a bit of solder. And that's ready for a bit of heat shrink. Okay, I'll check the voltage again on this connector for the FM green lights, dial lamps. Oh, we're down to 7.4 volts, so if anything we've dropped a little too much. So maybe these draw a bit more current than the originals. I guess we could change the resistor value if need be. I think that won't look too bad. Let's compare it to the AM. The AM's a tad brighter, but it may appear that way anyway because it's incandescent lamp. And the meter's clicking. Now the meters are two different colours, but we'll just quickly check the voltage going into the meter lamps, which was under here somewhere in the power supply. Those two, I think. And meters should be these two. I think these are AC. Yeah, they just come straight out of the transformer. And handy if you can actually see the thing, but yeah, 10 volts by the look of it. So I think that's a bit high to be running 8 volt lamps off. So I put 12 volts in there and that seems to be fine. Yeah, it's not that easy to see, but yeah, we've got a green meter and a non-green, or you can see the light reflecting off the aluminium there. And yeah, in AM we've got the dial lit up incandescent, plain incandescent, and FM green. Again, it's a little on the dim side maybe. But I think that'll do for display purposes. Yeah, I think that'll look quite good. But yeah, maybe if you're fixing it for a customer, it would have had to go a bit brighter on the dial there. So I think that's the worst of it, besides that meter issue, so I won't put the bottom cover back on yet until I see if I can find a circuit for this thing. Okay, I had a bit of a look online and couldn't find a service manual for this thing anywhere. Bit of dust I missed. And I probably could look up those LA chips, see if I can find data sheets on them, but I think I'll just do a quick bit of fault finding on this thing and see if I can find anything. And I'm starting by seeing what on earth is on that meter, what sort of voltage is across that. I'm not sure what full scale deflection on one of these means, but there's interesting, no sign of DC there. Hang on. So looks like we've got a couple of volts. Is enough to swing that to full deflection, which is not surprising. They normally don't need much. I had a feeling that it actually, when I was moving around channels or something, I did see it move. Okay, FM stereo, nothing. AM No, bangs to full scale in both things. I thought I did see it flick a bit once, but maybe I did. I don't know what caused it though, if I did. No, it just seems to go full scale and stay there. So that could be something shorted onto that line, putting voltage in there. But from memory, well, let's have another look. See what's positive, negative, and ground referenced, I guess. That side of the meter, 0.9 volts. That side, nothing to ground. Yeah, I think there was a higher voltage across it, wasn't there? Oh no, it's down to 0.9 volts now. So maybe that varies a little bit. What we can do is see if one side of this it goes to ground. That seemed to be the ground side. Oh, they're both going to measure to ground anyway, I would think. Yeah, it's a bit of resistance. So the black wire's ground, so that's of little interest. And I think those wires came right over to, yeah, it's the black and white ones right over here. So the black goes to ground, that E32, whatever it is, the white, that's going to be fun to find. Huh. What on earth? The headphone socket's broken. I didn't even notice that before. Well, because the front part of it's on there. But yeah, just loose in there. Oh great, someone's busted it off. Wow. Whether someone broke it or it just broke very easily, but that's been snapped off. The front plastic bit's still screwed to the front panel, but the rest of it is broken. And interesting, is it a headphone socket? There's a mic in. I was going to say it's only got two connections. So it's a microphone socket. Someone obviously used it once, probably kids or something, and snapped it off. The white wire comes to the switch on this side, and it's one of these three. I think it's that end one there. Let's see if that to ground measures 0.38, so I reckon that's it, because that's what our meter was, something like that. So it's that one. Let's put a little mark there. There's a lump of solder. Oh no, it's just part of the switch. So what is that currently switched to in the switch mechanism? It may well be these other wires. That one. And what happens when we change mode? So that's the end one. Are we on AM, I think? Let's go to FM. It probably switches to that other one. Disconnects from that. I expected it to be connected to that. Surely it's connected to that. Yeah, not very well, or I'm not making a good connection. Yeah, it is. So two other wires here it connects to, one in AM, one in FM. Interestingly, it's faulty on both. And I wouldn't mind betting that in another mode it's probably switched to ground. Yeah. So the meter's switched to ground in auxiliary and whatever. And these other two wires, which are a white wire that comes over near this pot, close to where the ground for that actual meter is, and an orange wire. So that's interesting. If it goes to two different places, one for FM, one for AM, and yet it's still high, that is rather interesting. So one goes off near this LA1240, and so the other goes, so I wonder if it does actually go to that pot. So that's right off to the side of the trim pot, which is here. I think that does go to the trim pot. Yep, it's actually, so that trim pot is meter adjustment for, that's one of the pots I tweaked before just to see if it did anything. The plot thickens. What's that say on mic in? The other one comes over near this chip. There's a capacitor and a resistor right about maybe there. Capacitor and resistor, yeah, this must be it, because there's a cap across there, resistor across there, I think. You're kidding me. So we've got that bit there, we've got this pot here. And you're telling me we get the same voltage, or maybe that 1.5 volts I was getting was one mode. And one band of the radio, basically. 0.7 volts there. Oh, I'm an idiot. What do we got? I've got 0.1 volts there at the moment. That band probably isn't powered here. 1.8 volts in that band. Now I've got 0.9 volts in AM and nothing in that one. So it switches between that pot and this output of this chip, which is the current output. 0.6 volts on the chip. It's got a higher voltage there, so something weird's going on. Potentially. Let's have a look at this. 1.4 there and 1.5 there, so that is definitely higher. Does that go to this thing? Oh, 9.65 volts. I don't know if that's actually connected to that though. So the trim pot, and there's a pin on this side. That's a diode. It goes, what voltage was coming out of there? So it's not definitely not going to that 9 volt, because I want to see if that voltage is lower. 0.2, yeah, it's picking up a voltage from somewhere, I think. 1.7 volts. So there's a higher voltage on this pot. It's not coming from that diode out of that chip, and it's the same on the other one. It's higher here. Other way. Higher voltage there. And what the chip's putting out. So it's not, that voltage does not derive from the chip. So where on earth is it coming from? I'll have to disconnect a few things here, I think. 1.1 volts. 0.1 on that one because it's turned off. 1.1 volts there. So it could it be this switch is, well, that's just got grounds. Or what's this pin? So I think we've got a resistance to like a power line or something. Where do I find that power there, I think? Whether that is a power line, who knows, but no resistance there. 600 ohms to ground. 600 ohms to ground. That'll be open. A K to ground. That should be the same. How come the resistance of that is going up? Maybe it's just what's switched in circuit, I guess. Now, hang on, that capacitor to this, I think that now goes to ground. It's like a leaky capacitor or something. It's outright weird. We've got a white wire here, comes across. It just goes to that meter. The other side definitely goes to ground. Double check that is a 0 to ground, 0.2 ohms to ground. The meter itself up around a K to ground. Well, let's switch it out of these radio modes. That'll give us a true reading because it should be, oh no, it's going to be shorted to ground though, I think. Yeah, 3.5 ohms to ground. So it's not fully shorted to ground. FM, K, AM I think was a bit lower, wasn't it? 600 ohms, which is just, I guess, what we're switching in circuit. So where on earth is this voltage coming from? I mean, really it should be fed. Yeah, that would be a DC voltage, I guess. I mean, all I can do is disconnect from this switch. Has this switch got any ohmage to something on maybe the other side of the switch? I still tend to suspect the switch, because why wouldn't you? Yes, the ground. I can't imagine this bank's connected to anything else though. What's on the other side of the switch? Just out of interest, a bunch of wires that go to the lamps and stuff. So could we have a leakage of some sort of voltage? So that's switching both the meter to AM FM and the lamps to AM FM. But the lamps go to ground, so we might get some resistance. Very weird. Oh well. The switch is the only real source of the voltage. Well, yeah. I guess we can disconnect this pot maybe as one thing and see what happens. Maybe disconnect the pot. The input to the pot, because that can't really pick up any voltage, and that input there maybe, or from that resistor going out of that chip, because they're the only two sources of anything into this thing, just in case it is coming from there somewhere. It's kind of the equivalent of disconnecting the switch. Okay, what have we got here? Nothing, because we're probably not in that mode. We've got 1.9 volts coming back through there. Nothing, what? What mode are we in? AM, I think. Oh yeah, we won't get any voltage to there, will we? Because 1.9 volts going onto there. So it's coming from the meter or the switch, I think, as suspected. Ah, that's still connected then. Get rid of that. Can't make a dry joint when you want one. Well, it's coming from somewhere. And when we turn it to ground, that gets rid of the... We're getting leakage here, we must be. Very weird. If I can disconnect the actual thing. $12 volts. Disconnect the meter and we get 12 volts. That's what I was kind of expecting. Okay, who else has 12 volts on them around here? Or is that one of those... Do we have a bias on one of these? I mean, that's going to have 12 volts on it as well, of course, because it's connected. So could this trim pot be picking up voltage? And technically it's open circuit. Okay, what else on this switch has 12 volts? That's ground. These should all be grounds. That's 12 volts on that red wire. Most likely it would be this side of the switch, I guess. It's got 3 volts or something. Bit of metal or something there maybe, but 5. What was that? Of course, as you move the meter it starts measuring. Nothing, 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 Don't think it's going to be coming from the other side of the switch, very unlikely, but I guess we better check. So 12 volts here. Is that somehow... Well, it shouldn't be, but let's just do a resistance check between that line. $10K. That could be our issue. I mean, it only has to be a low... Yeah. Oh no, that's the circuit board track. It's 10K to that switch. Well, I will have to... We know some of these terminals go to ground, so we don't need to worry about them. But these other two, we better disconnect just to completely get these other bits out of the circuit. It could be one of the wires going to them. Very weird. Nothing to there, nothing to there. Still 10K to there. And should be 10K to one of these. Oh, that's going to be just measuring to ground. That's a ground pin. Just double check they are grounded. That's ground. That's ground. So somehow we're getting voltage from there. What's that one? Is that ground as well? No. Oh, it is. Oh yeah, it goes to, it looks like the ground plane. Yeah. No, it is ground as well. So somehow we're getting seemingly from that pin. Crazy. Well, I guess all I can do is disconnect that. It may not be directly from that, but... So that was on this one with the two bits there. Let's see if it is actually a leakage in the switch. It's because, I mean, the switch does have a few, has had a bit of dirt and stuff in it, so maybe, yeah, is that, let's check the pins. Yeah, still connected by the look of it. Like I say, you can't make a dry joint when you want one. Oh yeah, I think they're leaky. Yeah, we've got 10K from that pin to that pin. What the... How's that doing that? I don't really want to unsolder the whole switch, but there's something in there most likely. It's quite an open switch, so it's quite possible something's got in there and see down into it a bit. Not a lot. Very corroded looking terminals, or very tarnished looking terminals in there. I wonder if something conductive's dropped down into it, or it could be between the switch and the board. I don't know that you can even get that out without removing the whole circuit board. Maybe. That's a really annoying fault. Very rare these things play up at all. So unfortunately I may have to, I've already unsoldered half the pins. I'm just not sure you can flip the switch up because of the part sticking through the front panel. Better just mark. Yeah, this is where the red wire came to. I wonder what that red wire actually does. I'm sure it would do something useful to turn something on and off. Yeah, solder sucker definitely needs an empty. I think we got everything. I don't think there's any more mechanical, although then again, what we got there almost looks like mechanical. No, I don't think so. No, that is loose, I think. Other than on the front panel, which I just all put back together, and I shouldn't have, should I? Well, at least it's only a few knobs and a couple of screws. Let's see if this thing will come out. I have my doubts, but we might be able to jiggle it out. I think this is going to be way too tight. Shake it around a bit. It's got the anti-rotation thing in there. That's definitely not going to come out. It's just actually those pots. Tuning's fine, so it's just the pots along this end. Now that switch also I don't think has to come off. Yeah, not circuit board mounted, that's power and everything. So 4 pots. Yeah, it mightn't be the end of the world. But the tuning of course is attached to the board. I don't think we're going to get this out. Or do I? Ooh. No, even then the board's got to move. Oh. I'm wondering if I don't just unsolder all these pots and make it so I can move the board enough to not fiddle with the... If I take these other 3 pots out, solder the suckers clean again. See if we can disconnect these pots and raise the board up a bit without messing up our radio tuning dial or dial string. I think it's loose. Unscrew this board. There's one screw at that end. Something's still holding it. Is that just this pot? I'm just going to check you unsoldered everything. I think it's the pot. Oh yeah, that one was being a little tricky. Oh yeah, that switch is also holding it. I think the switch might be free enough yet. So that's all it took. There's a purple wire in the way. Okay, there we have it. One big horrible switch. Now, which pins was it? It's this end one and the gap. Was it that one? Oh yeah, they're all one bank. There it is, 12 k ohms. That should not be there. So that means the bad news is I really need to pull this switch apart, which I really don't want to do. It's a good quality Alps one. Well, there's no guarantee I'll ever get it back together, is the only problem. I'm not actually sure what this one's going to be like inside. Hopefully the contacts either don't come with it or do come with the circuit board bit or the bakelite board. I'm not sure what's best. As long as the contacts don't all fall out everywhere, then you're in deep poo. So just have to be careful. Hopefully they stay in one half or the other, either attached to the contacts or in the little plastic bits that hold them and slide them. I do not like doing this, but I don't have a lot of choice in this one. I can see a bunch of contacts. I can't see a thing, of course, and that's the worst thing about them until you put on the bits. And you've got to be careful because they just want to spring off. They never just pop out neatly. They're always under a bit of tension, which can make things go flying. Ah, damn earth wire. Oh, I can see some... What can I see? Are they the wiper bits? I think they are attached. Ah, God. Come on, you little... I think we've got some contacts attached. They're just not something you should ever pull apart, really. And it's always under tension, always tight as a... Oh yeah, the contacts are on there, I think. Oh. If I just pivot that bit up, it's certainly very tarnished at the end there. Nothing obvious would be causing any resistance. And our contacts are attached. Just got to make sure you don't turn that bit. That could certainly do with a manual clean, I think. How am I getting resistance? Now I hope those contacts are all going to stay on there. Probably not that bad. You can just put them back. Well, actually, probably couldn't put them back in the other bits. You just have to line them up. And so we're getting from this pin. It's got to be between these two pieces, hasn't it? Is that what we've actually got resistance between these two wiper bits? Nope. It's probably miraculously disappeared now. Ha! No. Oh, we've got mega ohms now. And of course the memory card ran out halfway through, so I started bending all these back, just carefully trying to get the pliers to actually squeeze against something is half the problem, without bending any of these pins, as in the electrical pins rather than these metal ones that I want bent. And I think that's got it. That should be a good working switch again. Oh well, that was quite painless in the end, so... Okay, let's try and get this switch back in. Hopefully everything's still straight enough to go back in the holes. Do I need to drop the board? Oh yeah, well, that sort of helped a bit. Can I get that to come back up there? Oh yeah, we're in. I have to do that off camera because I need to get the nut on the front before I let go of anything and it all falls apart again. Yep, so that went straight back in effortlessly, surprisingly. And our other pots are still in place. Better just tighten the nut up fully on that switch. Not that it's likely to get much use anymore, but still. And it's just a matter of resoldering it all. And I guess before we bother putting front panels on or anything, we might as well see what the meter does. Ah, bingo, no crazy reaction from the meter, but are we in, I don't know what mode we're in, so that doesn't really, oh no. Well, we've got voltage back. You son of a... 0.8 volts. Okay, let's disconnect that again. Let's check the resistance again. I checked it before, it was fine. Now we've got 100k. Yep, meter with that disconnected doesn't shoot up. And in fact, it's just slightly running, so it might be working. Oh yeah, the meter's acting like it's normal. It's going up with signal. Except I've just made the dial cord slip, I think. Yeah, that's coming up. Looks like it's going up and down with the channels. As it tunes things. Should be some FM there somewhere. Oh, I wonder if that powers, that 12 volts goes into the FM somewhere. I'm guessing it does because we've got no FM. On AM though, yeah, we've got a channel or something sort of signal there. It comes up and down, even stronger there. Yeah, that's a station, I'd say. We seem to have a resistance again between them. 100 k ohms it's saying this time. But I had nothing a second ago. Where the hell's it coming from? Is it, like I say, is it those contacts are somehow out? Does it do it regardless of switch position? It seems to. Well, that's madness. Waits till I put it all back together and decides to return. Even though I checked it a couple of times, it was fine. So I'm actually going to disconnect all, because otherwise we're going to be measuring stray resistances. No, there's still 100. So it could have been through something else, but there still seems to be 100k. Definitely not connected to that. That should not measure to it at all. Let's try some different positions. It won't be connected to that one anymore. That's now connected to that one. That's something in the switch. Yeah, so we'll disconnect the other bits of the switch in case that was an issue, but there's definitely 100k ohm resistance to that pin still. What we should do is disconnect this bank as well. You've really got to isolate everything to be 100% sure. I mean, they're only ground, so they're not likely. But I'll disconnect them anyway, and there's these other two things. It's possible there's some connection, quite possible that they're connected via all those other chips and stuff to ground, to the rail via that sort of resistance. And it's still definitely 100k. Let's just make sure these are disconnected. That's something ground anyway. Sometimes you've got to measure every pin, make sure it's not connected to the pad next to it. And they would be connected to ground. Where's ground? Yep, they're all open circuit. Yep, no, there's still a connection. If we solder 12 volts just to that pin, it's 100k. I mean, that will, in theory, give us 12 volts coming out that pin again. Yeah, as soon as you can hear that, I just slipped and shorted it to the meter, 12 volts. Yeah, and if I touch that, it makes the meter go full scale. Because they're quite sensitive. Unbelievable. So that little switch is still faulty. Of course, pull it out, oh, everything measures perfect, put it back together. Could we have a, I don't think there was anything on the board there, was I'm sure I looked at the board. And we basically disconnected from the board. Well, I'm damned if I don't. .7 mega ohm now. It's just random. 2.2 meg, 2.7 meg. Could we have some sort of tin whisk? Is there something in there? There is something in that thing, I think. I probably should have put a knife blade right down in there. Is this, or is that just the switch cleaner lubricant? Almost is like there's a little whisker right at the bottom. I can see something glinting more than on the other side, I think. Yeah, there's something sticking out. Something right at the bottom of this front bit. I did think about getting a knife blade in there, but then I got distracted with a screwdriver, and I probably should have put a knife blade down there. Don't know if that's a good enough knife blade. I don't know what else I can shove in there, really. Oh look, something's moved up the switch. What is that? Is that a little flake of metal? That's the piece, I think. There's a little tiny bit that's now halfway up the side of it. What the flippin'... Where's that cotton bud gone? Any cotton bud will do. Yeah, I can actually physically see it without the magnifier. There's a little piece, it's on the side of it now. There's a little piece of something there. Of course it's heading straight back into the hole. Well, I've got the knife and scraped underneath there, scraped on top, tried to scrape in between them. And I think we've finally got no connection, but it was a bit intermittent before, so I'm not really sure what it is. Could have been an impurity in the glue or the bakelite. Could have been something that was in there from the day they made this thing. That's why quality control is always so important. Dunno. All I can do is put it back together one more time and see if it actually runs. And just hope that it actually works this time. Now the other possibility is there's something in this plastic. Let's have a look. It's between there and there. That butts up there. So it would be down that little square hole there probably. Can't see anything, any kind of dirt or anything there in there at all. But whatever it is could be so micro, but it seemed to be playing up even after I took this bit off. Let's just scrape that out anyway. Scrape up those little faces where there could be something. You just don't know, but I don't think that was it. But yeah, very frustrating when they decide to work while you got them apart. Let's try it again. No, I was on the wide side. I keep getting the wrong side. Yeah, where I've scratched it. Yeah, who knows? Maybe something got in that glue there in the factory when it was being assembled. Some little tiny bit of metal off a machine. It could be anything like that. Certainly is behaving a bit like some sort of impurity in the actual material. So far so good, but that's what I thought last time. It just wanted to make me pull it apart again, I think. Couldn't be that easy, could it? Okay. Oh no, I'm getting 4 megs. What the 4 mega ohm. And that's with nothing else. Well, maybe something connected somewhere, but even so, between those two switch banks there shouldn't be anything. Well, it's measuring 2.6 meg. Are these connected? That's not connected. Not connected, not connected. So it might just be some residual resistance in this device, but the pins aren't seemingly connected to anything, so I'm measuring. Well, I was measuring resistance there, now I'm not, and now I'm not. Oh shit, I'm measuring 7 megs. Well, I don't think, if this does come back, I don't think I can fix this switch. We're back to 2 megs. We're back to 1K. Is that a capacitor or something I'm measuring? No, we're back to 875 ohms. Well, that ain't a good sign. Yeah, and the meter's back up. Okay, so what I've done with this is I've left that pin of the switch disconnected. I unsoldered this end of this wire a little bit, or melted it, so I could stretch it further across to the other 2 components that are on the same pad of that switch, on that pin on that switch. And it actually runs the FM now, and runs fine. The only thing you get is that in the AM mode, the FM stereo light flickers on occasionally when you tune a channel in. So that seems to be the only issue. But yeah, having disconnected all of that switch, or all those 2 banks of it, still had a bit of resistance there, so it's got to be the actual switch that's faulty in there somewhere. Maybe this multimeter isn't showing the true extent of it because it's such a high impedance one. But I mean, we're measuring a couple hundred K, now 140K, so it's just somewhat random. But I don't think that's going through any other part of the circuit, and the meter runs absolutely fine like that. And like I said, the only thing is we do get a stereo light occasionally flicking in AM mode.
And I'm not trying to move.
The other thing I noticed is the speaker switch is getting a bit dicky now, one channel dropping out. I've got an AM here, I've currently got the FM stereo light on in AM.
People do see that there's downsides, and they also see that there's
I see the signal meter's working fine.
mobile phones.
And there's the FM stereo light on some rubbish. Maybe it's picking up some rubbish in there that's 19 kilohertz or whatever, and that's triggering the light. I don't know, but whatever used to turn it off doesn't anymore. Admittedly, the tuning meter doesn't work, though I'm not sure if it ever did on AM. I think that's more of an FM thing. Yeah, it's working fine there.
Matsumoto, very fine back.
Another thing I did notice, there is a bit of hum in this thing, and I think it gets worse here when I turn the bass down or up. Don't really notice it otherwise, a little bit there, and it doesn't seem to matter what we're on. It's coming out of the amplifier, both channels. So maybe I need to check a couple of these capacitors and stuff. And the other question is, can I clean the contacts in that switch? Oh yeah, the main switch is on this grey bit at the back. Almost wonder if that's the same as the one in the not Marantz, Pioneer, I think. I get a feeling those Pioneers used a similar switch. I've got one with a faulty one. I've actually dug out the other one now. Or I've dug out the one with the faulty switch, and I had the wrecked one to get the switch out of and hopefully fix that one. Now my contact cleaner doesn't work. Oh, there we go. But definitely don't put this contact cleaner in main switches, normally doesn't do them any good. Get out of the way. That seems to be working. See, I might just as one more time wasting thing have a quick look to see what the caps are like in this thing and see whether that's causing that hum. Now, do have to work out where they actually are. I think I know where they are, but is that them? There's one right there. 0.14. There's a little one next to it too. Where's that? There maybe. Another one there. 0.15. And then there's a couple there, big ones. So that could be a little high if the other one's measuring 0.9, but still not a lot. And there was another one there somewhere, was it that bit? I think it is those two. Even though they look too far apart for the size of the capacitor. That one's okay. I think that might be one. It's measuring quite high if it is. But it's only a little tacker. Oh no, that's not it. Should be up towards the amp chip. That thing there. Another one over here somewhere. What is it? That thing maybe. And another one near the fuse holder there. Possibly that thing. Not likely to be the problem. And that one, I reckon. Yeah. That should be a 220. Yeah, 0.17, etc. Depending on the voltage. I guess the other thing could be some of these big filter caps. 0.003, 0.03. So where are we picking hum up from? And then we've got a couple of big 220s there, which are, I think, there. 1.5. Ooh, 4.7. If that's a cap, that's cooked. Oh, we've got a cockroach in here. And we've got another cap. Where is it? That thing there, maybe? Probably. And there's oh yeah, one right next to that transistor. That's going to be fried if ever there's a fried capacitor in this thing. 4.7. Yes, a couple of those. That one and that one. That. I reckon they're probably a bit cooked. Not in the amp stage where I might have thought, but I think there's one there. There's another one there maybe. Oh, make up your mind. 0.86. 0.56 is probably okay. Yeah, check that. So they're definitely potential. They're 220 at 50 volt. Yeah, 5 point whatever. And what was this other 220? It's the big one there. That's 1.6. That's pretty high as well. Now this one's making a liar out of me. 4.8. 4.8, so they're definitely not looking great. Might just drag a couple across and see if it makes any difference. We have positive both on that side. So yeah, where I put the plus there, or the cross, which is now looks like a plus. Just see if that makes any difference. It may not do a thing. Given most of the sounds in the amp stage, you'd think, yeah, they're both connected together. You wouldn't think it'd be emanating from here, but it could be something post volume control, but the volume control doesn't alter it. Although if the bass control's altering it and the volume's not, then the tone controls must come after the volume control, I'm guessing. So I'm just making a funny noise. But we don't have any hum. And we do have a bit of hum again. Where's that? Lots of hum. That fixes it. So does that. So it's that transistor for sure, around that, that's the transistor in between. Some sort of voltage regulator, so yeah, we've got 2 shot capacitors. Given how hot that area is, that's not a surprise. Shit, I did the wrong one, didn't I? Easy to take your eyes off it and lose track of which pair of pins it is, since I've got no visual reference here. That's the other cap. I think in theory you would probably, if it was a customer job, you'd probably replace that as well. Now let's drop down, because I think that one was measuring a little high. But this is only a bit of display junk for me, so I don't think I'll bother. Out you come. What are they, 50 volters? Geez, brown burn mark up the side of it just about from the heat. Probably dust or something. Bit blackened from heat and stuff. I think that's just dust on there. It's pretty well stuck on. Maybe it is a bit cooked. No sign of anything coming out the end of them. Let's see what they measure out of the circuit. They might be even worse. They might just be the same though. 4, so it measures a bit better, probably because I put a bit of heat into it. Sometimes that makes them happier. Yeah, both measuring 4. Way too high. And yeah, they're old Matsushita, this little Matsushita symbol. -40 to +85 from the 70s, so they've done pretty well. Given they're in a pretty hot situation there, I'd say this thing's done long hours. Look, that one was still charged up, and so was that one. Wow. Should have known, it's only a low voltage, but still. Doesn't do your side cut as much good chopping through that. Make sure we get the polarity right. Both are positive that way, I believe. Yeah, that transistor looks very... Ooh, probably shouldn't have pushed that. It's probably broken the track on the board. Certainly felt like it might have. I think someone had resoldered it by the look of it. But yeah, the rest of the capacitors I'm measuring this are all within spec by the look of it. It's just these ones that have been super hot. Now, did I mess up? Oh yeah, the track started lifting on that transistor there. Might need to resolder that a bit just to make sure. Don't think I tore it, but it's just peeling off the board a bit because it's been so hot. Shouldn't have really touched it. But I'll resolder it to make sure I didn't create a dry joint on it. Oops. I should be using my ones that catch the lead, shouldn't I? Yeah, they're better. Okay, well that should solve that issue. We're just going to leave the tuner as it is. Oh, antenna's come off. So that switch has got something very weird going on in it. Again, in the day you would have just ordered a new one rather than trying to mess around with it, because this is the sort of amount of time it wastes. Spent ages messing around with that. Yeah, no, that needs a clean as well. The bass control, no hum at all now. I can actually hear a bit of crosstalk from the radio or something there. Yeah, FM stereo on AM.
I would say, so 5 years ago when I left high school.
Excellent. So I think this thing can finally, besides maybe the mains cord, I'll put a longer one on it, but it can basically go back together. I think I can at least put the bottom back on this thing. And yeah, we've got a green meter and a normal incandescent lamp coloured meter. And yeah, green doesn't show up real well on that dial, but it definitely changes to green. Don't know, the camera doesn't show up much on the viewfinder, but or on the screen, but that's definitely green. Like I say, I could possibly do with the lamps. Did that have a resistor on it? I think it did. Maybe I need to bypass it with a lower value. That was across this blue wire, and oh, that goes to the switch. So maybe it isn't resistor blue, oh, because that was the other side of the switch from where we were switching our meters. Not sure where that voltage comes from. Must be some sort of, probably that brown and black. Oh, here we go, here's the wires, brown and black going back out, and they look like they go back to the transformer. One go, oh, there's a diode. So it is DC, yeah, that goes to the common with the other light globes here. So it just comes via a diode by the look of it. Somewhere in there's a diode. That filter cap's across it too, probably. Surely not just for a light. I wonder if that capacitor's much good. Worth a look, that could be lowering the voltage going in there a bit. I think that's right there. 0.25, no, I'd say that'd be alright. Just to see what the voltage is. That's ground on that cap there. Oh, that isn't measuring much. Are we on? Yep. Let's measure across the cap. Maybe that's not actually connected to the other ground. It probably isn't. There you go, 7.4 volts. Yeah, there's no ground reference, and then that goes to this other side of the switch, I think it is. In theory, we could probably switch things with that side of the switch. Yeah, I think they're actually 9 volt lamps, so that's probably why they're a little low, Could almost get away with 6 volters in there, but they might run a bit too hot. But I think that'll have to do. I'll see what it looks like. I'll change them if I really need to, but I've wasted more time than I intended on this thing. So I probably should have just disconnected that meter like I was originally thinking and saved myself a whole lot of work. Can be interesting to track these faults down, but that did take quite a lot of time to pull that switch out a couple of times, and something strange in that switch. It seems if I disconnect everything, so I'm pretty convinced it is the switch is where that resistance is coming from, and it definitely seems to be where the voltage is coming from. So very weird. I'd say there's actually something in that switch from the manufacturing, some impurity in it somewhere, and without cutting right through that phenolic board or whatever it is, Bakelite kind of circuit board stuff, there's no way of proving whether it's that, or maybe it is in the plastic part there somewhere. So I'll have to give up on that, I think. I doubt anyone will ever see that fault one of these again. Not that there's probably many of these around in the first place. So I'll get rid of this horrible little short cord and that plug that kept getting underneath the thing, and put a piggyback plug on that, I think. And yeah, I'm not quite sure why I've got all these grotty old line cords sticking out the back. Looks like they've been painted or they've had tape over them or something, probably tape. I didn't actually check what they were. One, yeah, that's right, one goes to the tape. Does it have an auxiliary in on the back? It has, yeah, auxiliary and phone. So one must be tape play and one tape record, I'd guess. I can tie them up on the back with a cable tie or something. I do like the heat sinks. They look kind of cool. That would have been interesting things to pull out of it if it wasn't worth fixing. But it is quite a good quality unit by the look of it. You know, compared to some stuff. And yeah, we'll get that mains cord fixed, and then this can just be our display unit. I'll see what it looks like with one green and one white sort of panel meter. I might even keep an eye out for another one of those little green things and fix that eventually, or maybe, like I say, I could take the other green one out. I'm not sure whether they look better in green or the white sort of colour, especially if the dial's green at the same time. But anyway, that's cleaned up something that I forgot I even had. Looks a ton better than it did, besides a few little scratches and some of the screen print missing, but you won't really notice the screen print's missing until you actually go to use the thing. It's a lot better than it was. It was just a bit more time consuming than I intended. And I guess I've got a couple of STK power chips there if I ever need them for something, because if I only use this as a tuner and a display piece, I could always pinch them out of there. But anyway, that was a lot more messing around than I intended, but it's all good now, so thanks for watching.